That's just my AirPods. Anything now? Still nothing. What the heck? Anything? Can you hear me now? Is that working? I think I got it. I think I got it working now. Okay, thanks guys. I appreciate that. Sorry about that. Uh, that's kind of annoying. Okay, so well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. This is great. I was just saying that for those of you who are watching this live on X, if you come over to my YouTube channel at the Sarcastic Skeptic, you can comment and you can be a little more engaged. I'll try to pay attention to the comments as I go along so that I can hopefully interact with the chat a little bit. So um, today we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about this new shooting in Minneapolis and what's all going on with that. And then I'm going to transition to Third Way is a left center think tank that put out a new study about words that the Democrats should no longer be using. So that's that's a really interesting debate and conversation, I think, that the Democrats finally are realizing that the words they use are really annoying to everybody and make everybody want to leave them. So without any further ado, I guess let's get into this first clip. We'll start with the Minnesota shooting.
Minneapolis police chief. Earlier today, just before 8:30 a.m., our city experienced an unthinkable tragedy. Minneapolis police officers responded to a report of a shooting at a mass that was happening at the Annunciation Roman Catholic Church on the block behind me. This worship service was marking the first week of school for children that are attending the Annunciation Catholic School. During the mass, a gunman approached on the outside on the side of the building and began firing a rifle through the church windows towards the children sitting in the pews at the mass. Shooting through the windows, he struck children and worshipers that were inside the building. The shooter was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children and other people worshiping. The sheer cruelty and cowardice of firing into a church full of children is absolutely incomprehensible.
Yeah, it's terrible. Oh my gosh. So what happened was Minneapolis at a Catholic church, Annunciation Catholic, first week of school. These kids, teachers and parents were all gathered there, sitting in for mass. 2-year-old range psychopath shows up with a rifle, a shot, pistol, and through the windows and just starts firing at kids. Two of these children were killed, 8 years old and 10 years old. Unfortunately, this is terrible. And 14 more kids were shot. And in the end, he actually shot himself. So this is how broken the world is today. You know, you can't even sit in a church with your kids without worrying about some lunatic who's going to come in there turn the church into a shooting gallery. And not only that, but this guy put a video on YouTube prior to it of his manifesto and him going through it and being very weird and creepy. And he got taken down almost instantaneously, but I do have a clip of it I was able to find on X. So I'll play that for you here in just a second. Also, there it's from my understanding been confirmed that this guy was a left radical trans woman. So there's that aspect. And you know, this kind of violence from the left is did the mentally ill, and he's probably chronically online. These leftists online. All these calls for violence. I don't. They think they're funny or cute or whatever. Kinds of people take those things seriously. You know, when there's videos like this.
So now there's a DC curfew with a map, and this is just another step that Mustache Man did before he started killing people. Like, guys, it is time to start burning shit. I've said it a few times now. We need to start burning shit. There needs to be a consequence. We can't just let fascism take over. We can't let Orange Mustache Man, Cinnamon Hitler, we can't let him just do whatever he wants. DC, LA has already set the example of how you can fight back. Boston fucking went hard on it, and you guys need to be on the ground destroying shit. Like, you need to be difficult. You need to say fuck no to this new Hitler. Like, I ain't dealing with the Fourth Reich. So I need for you guys to sack up while you're there. I'll see you.
Right. So this idiot here, who isn't actually going to do anything himself, who's a coward, a weasel, a wuss. He's on his active guy making a stupid TikTok for violence, burning down bad, and it plays right into these mentally ill people. Well, this guy's probably mentally ill himself, but on the shooter's magazine, he's written on there, fuck Trump, fuck Trump. So you got morons like this encouraging these people to escalate violence, and then innocent people get involved and children get shot and killed. And then you've got morons like this guy.
So I'm gonna say this very clearly: is a ban or restriction, but this is bigger than that. So
sorry guys, I don't know what's going on.
This is what I'm asking. Anyone in Texas that's against this shit, that's armed.
Anyway, this guy was upset about redistricting in Texas, and so he able to get their guns and to go Can you hear me now? Is that?
Get to the. So I'm gonna say this very clearly. Is my
All right. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me? Is it working? Sorry, it's probably not going to sound real great because I'm going to just use my AirPod. Okay, so yeah, I was saying that this guy right here is calling for violence at the Texas State House because this was when the redistricting was going on. He was big mad that the Republicans were trying to redistrict. Oh, I get it. The Democrats basically are losing, and they're losers, and
get me banned or restriction, but this is bigger than that.
how about now? Can you hear anything? Anything? Can you hear that? Probably isn't going to sound very good. That's internal of my webcam. That's just crazy that this ruining my live stream here. Stupid technology. Okay, so yeah, anyway, this guy's calling for violence in Texas, and so let's just play it, listen to what
So this is what I'm asking. Anyone in Texas that's against this shit, that's armed, get to the State House and demand the release of Nicole Collier. If they will not release her, then you know what? Shoot them fucking dead because they're fucking taking her hostage. This is against the law. This is an act of terrorism. Anyone trying to keep Nicole Collier from leaving the State House is a terrorist. They're an enemy of the state. They need to be shot fucking dead. Be a good Samaritan. Put these fucking terrorists down unless they agree to release her.
Okay, well, so is it any surprise that a mentally ill person who's chronically online would hear this stuff and feel like there's some kind of civil war that they need to be involved in and grab their gun, and his gun says on it, fuck Trump on the magazine, and in his notebook that I'll show to you here, you can't be inciting violence like this. This is dangerous stuff. And I know the left doesn't think that there's a bunch of mentally deranged people on their side, but they are. There are. And it can get dangerous real fast. So this next clip I'm going to show you was scrubbed from YouTube almost instantaneously, faster than like Hunter Biden's laptop search, but people caught it before it vanished and were able to put it on X, and it's kind of just a rambling emotional breakdown, anger at everything. You can tell that he's emotionally unstable. It's a mental collapse, sort of caught on camera. Hopefully you can hear it. It's kind of hard to hear sometimes.
I don't remember how far we went back. Like a fat pink box. deal with this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I have to give up. I have to give up now. Oh my God. Stupid bitch. My family. I don't know what else to say. It's over. It's over. It's all over. It's all. But I know I won't make it to tomorrow. Shooter. Help. Pray for me. I love you all.
I mean, pretty disturbing stuff. That's really sad, actually, to see. You know, you can hear him saying that he loves his family, whispering that. I mean, wow, this guy, he is. Oh man, I just feel bad for the guy. I mean, he killed people, obviously, so yeah, you know, he was just deranged. And here's a picture of him. This is the shooter here. You can see, oh, he has "Kill Donald Trump" written on his magazine or whatever that is there. And then you can see he's got his pride flag over there, "Defend equality." And so, you know, right after this happened, people on social media were speculating, you know, is this guy trans? At first, it was unclear. People weren't quite sure. There wasn't really anything confirmed, but now it appears to be confirmed that he did identify as a trans woman, at least from what I could find. So people dug up screenshots and some old posts or whatever. But you know, the media is probably not even going to mention that he was trans. You know, they're probably going to bury that because it's bad PR. You know, remember Nashville? Shooter was trans identifying woman. And Denver, same thing. So over and over, we've seen the same thing. We've got unstable people like this, and we can't have people getting them riled up for violence. It doesn't mean every trans person is violent, obviously, but we shouldn't be encouraging mentally ill people like this. I don't know his background. I don't know his story, if he ever got treated, or if his parents just thought that this was an okay thing to do and didn't get him into the mental health treatment that he needed. So anyway, you know, when you're rejecting your own biological reality, you know, and screaming at the mirror and demanding society rewrite the English language to validate your fantasy, that's not progress. It's not identity. It's mental illness. So the left is big in this. They want to redefine reality, and they want to use their words to do so. They think that if they can redefine reality, then they can make reality whatever they want to be. Redefine the words, make reality whatever you want it to be. So now let's get into the main portion of the live here that I want to talk to you guys about. And that's the report that came out from Third Way. It's a left center think tank, and they put out this funny report that is Democrats are reeling. They don't know what's going on with their voter base or how they're going to take back power. They don't really seem to have much by way of a plan. They don't know what they're going to do. And, you know, let's get into this. So you ever notice how Democrats walk into a room full of regular people, open their mouths, and somehow it sounds like they're reading aloud from a college brochure nobody asked for? Like Republicans can walk in and say, I'll cut your taxes, I'll bring back jobs, I'll build a wall. Right? Simple, direct. Maybe you love it, maybe you hate it, but you understand what they're talking about. Now, Democrats walk in. Yeah, Minnesota Mike, you notice the only plan Democrats have is Trump derangement syndrome. That's just what they do. They just default to that. I don't know, orange man bad. That's about all they've got. And people are just looking for some substance to these people, and they don't have any. Democrats, when they walk in, they say, we need to engage in a transformative dialogue that affirms the lived experiences of marginalized voices in spaces of systemic power, and other such nonsense. And what the hell does that even mean? It's not a sentence. It's a ransom note out of a sociology textbook. And here's the funny part. They think it sounds smart. That's why they do it. They think people in Cleveland or Detroit or Pittsburgh are leaning forward and going, oh, wow, thank you, Senator. Finally, somebody has validated my experience through inclusive discourse frameworks. You know, this is the kind of weird lingo that they've come up with, and that makes them judge and look down on everybody else. So I want to show you, first of all, this parody video. I think it's pretty funny. This is from years ago. And then we'll get into more of the substance of what this Third Way talks about.
You know, a lot of people get angry when they see words getting changed, but language is always evolving. And bless this food to our use, a woman. Now, there are gendered words that naturally should change, like policeman should just be police officer. But there's a difference between gendered words and non-gendered words. And I'm trying to remove that difference so that we can be one step closer to getting offended by everything. For example, master bedroom. Now this one's interesting because it was first created by Sears as part of a marketing campaign in the 1920s and has zero ties to slavery or racism. But by making it about race, we offer more people the opportunity to get offended. A big part of this is trying to avoid masculinity as much as humanly possible. I mean, as much as humanly possible. Like fungi, which has guy right there in the word. So we're walking around saying guy, fungi. And nobody realizes that we're just walking around talking about mushrooms while at the same time unknowingly exfoliating this toxic masculinity. So from now on, I propose that we call fungi fundrogeny. They're not homeless, temporarily displaced, or housing challenged. Boom. Crisis solved. In order for language to evolve to be as inclusive as possible, it needs to kind of not make sense for a while. Dickie's jeans are now vaginese jeans, which is why we're not calling them Easter eggs anymore. We're calling them spring sphere, because we want to be inclusive to people who don't celebrate Easter, and we also want to be inclusive to people who don't believe in eggs. And all of Charles Dickens' books should be reprinted as written by Charles Uterus. Menu is now womenu. The country of Yemen, now the country of woman. Praying mantis is now a praying womantis. Or for people who don't pray, they can call it a meditating womantis. Look, language is art. And just like with art, every individual person can have a different interpretation about a word and can choose to be offended by that word in a different way. course, a dementor should now be a dewomentor. Not all dementors are male. We can no longer call it masturbation. We must now call it primary patient. He must change it to Dennis Rod Woman, which at a time wasn't that far off. Look, we all have a choice in this life, and I choose to be offended by words.
Oh, I love it. That's how stupid these people sound to the rest of us. You know, Democrats didn't just lose voters, they repelled them with this kind of nonsense. So, you just can't make this kind of stuff up. They have gotten so obsessed with the words. They talk like grad students desperate to prove they belong at the cool kids table. It's all performance. They're not trying to connect. They're trying to flex. They use 12-syllable words the way a guy in a midlife crisis buys a convertible. And it's obvious, you don't sound enlightened. You don't sound intellectual. You sound like a poser. You don't even know what these words mean. So out in the real world, people just want rent they can pay, groceries they can afford, a neighborhood that doesn't look like it got looted by a bunch of wild animals or something. But the Democrats are too busy renaming things to fix them. Voters are like, hey, my gas bill doubled. The Democrats are like, yeah. Well, we've reclassified it as energy equity adjustment journey. What? Bro, shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? You can rename hunger. You can rename crime. You can rename whatever the hell you want. It doesn't make reality go away. It just makes you sound like an alien trying to pass as a human. So now I want to get into this clip, and I want to set the mood a little bit, because sometimes the documents like this are a little too late. Now, Republicans have been saying the problem with language policing with the Democrats for a long time, and they've gotten sick of it, and it's been like 10 years of all this nonsense of, you can't say that, you can't say this, you have to say it this way, you can't say it that way, and people are so tired of it. And that's part of the reason why people are just like, we're done with these Democrats. These people are weirdos. They're not like normal people. They don't understand. They don't know anybody who's a plumber. They don't know anybody who's an electrician. They don't know anybody who drives a bus or works on roads or paints houses. They don't know any of these people. They don't know how these people think. They don't know how these people talk. They used to claim to be the party of the working man, but now they're the party of this weird fringe elite, and they think they're better than everybody else. They think they understand the reality better than everybody else. They think that they know the truth better than everybody else, and that everybody else is just a bunch of moron idiots who are too dumb to understand the profound truths that they're trying to bring to the world. So this is the article from Third Way. It's called, "Was It Something I Said?" Oh, I don't know. Maybe it was everything you said, of course. You sound like a bunch of idiots. Maybe it was the birthing people instead of mothers. Or chest feeding. Or maybe it was this stupid Latinx term that you just made up out of nowhere, and no Latino was interested in it or identified with it at all, but a bunch of elitist, snobby white people came up with it because they thought that it was an all-inclusive term. No more gendered language, no more Latino, Latina. We're just going to put an X at the end, and somehow that's going to mean we're all inclusive. Well, meanwhile, you got Hispanics out here saying, we don't identify as Latinx. We're Hispanics. So, but they think that this is doing something to bring in these stupid words, or maybe it was justice involved individuals for fucking criminals. Just call them criminals, illegal aliens, not undocumented worker or unauthorized immigrant. So anyway, let's take a look at the clip from the guy who did the research. I got to give this group Third Way. I've been looking into them a little bit, as much as I could, and they
in our politics lead is
I think they really are they're really trying. I think they're coming up with actually trying to find solutions to the Democrats' problems. They have released an article a while ago that was talking about, we need to focus more on economic issues, or how we're going to get affordable housing under control. Maybe, bring in, I don't know, National Guard or the Army Corps to help build houses, or, like they're trying to think of actual solutions, and they're being critical of their party, saying, hey, listen, guys, we got to change. We got to change a lot. This is not going to work if we keep going down this path. So let's take a look at this clip and see what they have to say.
Democrats struggle in poll after poll to connect with voters. One center-left think tank is out with a list of words they'd like to see the party cut out of their vocabulary in order to stop President Trump and Republicans in next year's midterm elections. And if Democrats are listening, here's one phrase you wouldn't hear on the campaign trail.
Climate change is the existential threat.
An existential threat to America's labor movement.
Climate crisis is the existential threat.
He loves his word. It's an existential threat. Existential. He has no idea what the hell the word means.
None of them do. None of them know what and there's a whole list of these words that they use, and none of them know what they mean. They're just buzzwords that some academic person came up with and that thought it sounded smart, so then everybody starts mimicking. The Democratic Party is a bunch of they're full of group think, crowd think, the madness of crowds. Oh, that's what we're doing now? Okay, we're trans. Okay, that's what we're doing. Okay. I'll just do it. I'll mock it. I'll mimic it. They're not the party of diversity.
Here now is Matt Bennett. He's co-founder and executive vice president for public affairs for Third Way, the group that published the memo this morning. And I was telling Matt during the break, this pretty much lit up everybody's social media accounts, text messages, group chats around Washington this morning. We've heard existential threat a lot, but I want to give people some context on some other words and phrases that were in this memo. Body shaming, cisgender, holding space, incarcerated people, intersectionality, LGBTQIA+, pregnant people, systems of oppression, the unhoused. Why do you think it's a words, not a policies thing that Democrats are suffering from right now?
If they stop using those words, they won't have anything to say. That's all they ever talk about is this crowd. What else are they going to say? They can't open their mouths without talking about cis heteronormative and LGBTQIA rights and all this kind of stuff. And so they've made their entire party platform about all these bizarre ideas and bizarre terms. And then the conservatives have been basically warning them about, like, hey, what is this? And been mocking them and telling them that these are dumb. And they just double down. They keep going with it. And then everybody leaves the Democratic Party, and Democratic Party looks like it's done for the next 10 years.
Oh, it's definitely both. I mean, we're a think tank. We talk about policies all the time. But I think sometimes we give short shrift to the words that public-facing Democrats, like the ones you just showed, and others are using. And those words matter a lot. Ask yourself, if you're watching this, Does anyone in your family around the table use words like this? Do you hear this when you talk to people that you went to high school with or folks you're talking to at the grocery store? People just don't talk this way.
This guy is very reasonable, right? This guy makes sense. This guy sounds like a Republican. You know, it's like, hey, listen, this is not normal. This isn't what everyday people, and whether you like it or not, it's the everyday people who are the ones who get to decide who's in power, because there's vast majority of us are like that. Only a tiny fraction are way out here on the fringes, caring about all these weird, obsessed minor issues that the far left is concerned about. You know, just talk like a normal person. Well, this is another issue. It's because they do not value authenticity. They still think we're living in the 90s where you can sort of fake and perform your way into power. And that isn't the way that things work anymore. People want authenticity. They want to understand, they want to relate to, they want to think that their representatives are like them and they understand their unique issues. That's how somehow a billionaire like Trump got all the regular working class people on his side, because he talks normal and he doesn't sugarcoat it, and he doesn't do political speak. Now, I don't think the Democrats are going to be able to pull this off, because they're just so trained to speak like this, and they're so scared to actually be honest that they hide behind their fake political words and terms so that they don't lose their endearment to the special interest groups and the people really in charge. But we'll see. Maybe this will help.
And when Democrats do, they're putting a barrier between themselves and voters in ways that are deeply alienating and really off-putting. And we thought it was time for somebody to tell them that.
Yeah, can you explain kind of how you guys decided, the origin story of why you decided to do this, and what you think the impact has been throughout the course of the day?
Sure. I mean, look, the November elections were a catastrophe for Democrats and for the country, in our view. And we're doing everything we can to try to turn that around. And one of the things that we've seen very clearly is that we have lost the faith of a lot of voters that were with us not that long ago. I mean, a whole bunch of people voted for Joe Biden in 2020 and then voted for Trump in 2024. So
that's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Yep. The Democrat Party really screwed that up. They were overly confident because Biden won and they kicked Trump out. They thought, sweet, this is our chance. We can just run full speed ahead with all this weirdness. And it did not work out, because it made them even more and more out of touch with the everyday normal person.
To get those people back, we got to be clear that we cannot be alienating them on issues relating largely to culture. And the way that we're talking to them is deeply alienating. I mean, we have heard from people all day today, consultants that run focus groups and others who said, yeah, I've heard this from people. They just don't understand or like the way that Democrats talk. It's not that they're dumb. They understand what the words mean. It's just that is not how they relate to one another. And we seem very weird when we use these kinds of words. I mean, literally no one says incarcerated persons. They say people in jail. You know, it just is, it's a very unnatural way of talking. And
is this not just the most obvious thing in the world? They had to have a think tank, and who knows, pay them $1 million to do a study or something. And they all that work. And they could have just asked anybody on the street, hey, what do you think of these terms? And they'd say, oh, that's stupid. Why don't you just call them criminal or prisoner? That's it. And see, this is the whole mentality of the Democratic Party, is they think that unless some academic tells them what to do, then it's invalid and it doesn't matter and it's just bullshit, and because it came from a moron. So they're incapable of listening to the regular person, because they think the regular people are dummies. And then it gets even worse, because now they look down on them even more because they elected Trump. So they think they're even stupider than what they thought they were. So there's a real arrogance issue that's also going on here that is not so easily solved as just changing the words that you're using. And as long as the Democrats keep carrying around this arrogant and spiteful and judgmental attitude towards everyone who doesn't use weird words and act like they're an academic, then they're going to lose forever. They're going to have no one left except the 12 people who think this stuff's important.
We got to stop doing it.
Do you think this is a generational issue? And I ask this because, you talk to kind of a lot of Democratic lawmakers will say, look, my younger staff, and I'm not going after younger people in any way, shape, or form, but there's a divide, I think, between some lawmakers, some of their younger staffers, some longtime staffers, and some kind of newer generation staffers. What do you think the genesis of this moment in the party came from?
Yeah, I think some of it is age, but a lot of it is college. A lot of this stuff comes straight out of the faculty lounge at universities. I mean, no one talks about the Overton window at football games. You talk about the Overton window in faculty, in seminar rooms. And so this kind of stuff gets put into the heads of young people in college, and almost everybody serving as a staffer for members of Congress and for other elected officials and for candidates, almost all of them have gone to college. That, by the way, is a problem Democrats should be addressing as well. We need a lot more people working with us who fit into the 68% of voters who don't attend college. But the fact that all of these people come out of the same kind of system and use the same kinds of language, I think, is part of the problem.
I mean, this guy sounds like Charlie Kirk. I mean, he's like saying he's saying the same thing that the Republicans have been saying for, oh my gosh, decades. That the universities are packed full of liberals. They have groupthink there. They keep different ideas and opinions out. They all come out mimicking the same leftist policies. I mean, it's taken them this long to take that stuff seriously.
Thing is, like, these words and these phrases were generated in goodwill. They were an attempt to protect vulnerable people or to not harm people's feelings. We understand that, but the problem is it's doing more harm than good because it's helping the right, and those are the people that are very people attacking the ones we're trying to protect.
So they were trying to protect people's feelings, but now fuck their feelings because we're losing our power. So I find that kind of comical, Well, it was for people's feelings, which it wasn't, by the way. It was to control everybody. It wasn't actually ever about the people that they claim to be protecting. Oh, we're the good people. We're not going to let you say harmful words to people and damage their self-esteem. No, it was just about being able to tell everybody else how to act. And then they had to submit because you had this social shame working on your behalf that's no longer there. And now, because that's not there, you're changing. Because you never cared about the people's feelings in the first place, even though that sounds nice. That never was what it was about.
Yeah, that was good to point out the recognition of groups that haven't gotten enough attention, or minority groups that haven't necessarily always been raised, was kind of the reason why initially. In terms of the party itself right now, who do you look to? What Democrats do you think at this point hold up as effective communicators to persuadable voters?
And we have a whole bunch of them. I mean, one of them is Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky. He talks like a normal person. It's the reason that a Democrat is so popular in Kentucky, which is a very, very red state. And he would never use any of these words. And he's very clear that matters to his voters. They feel like they understand him and that they share his values and that he's part of their culture. And there's plenty of others as well. Senator Ruben Gallego of Arizona, he says, look, people in my district, they want a big ass truck. Like, that is how people talk, and that is how you should talk. Alyssa Slotkin, senator from Michigan, Richie Torres. We got really good communicators, and we want them to be the ones showing others how to do it.
Matt Bennett, it was the story of the morning for sure in Washington.
How embarrassing for the Democrat Party that they don't even know how to talk like a normal person, and they have to have a professional come in and coach them and teach them to say something like big ass truck. This is how these people talk in their normal lives too, but somehow when they're addressing voters and they're putting on their costume of politician and leader, they turn into these weirdos who talk with weird language and use weird terms. Just be authentic, be real, talk like a normal person. And I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get why this is so difficult and why these people have such a hard time with this kind of stuff. You know, they spent $20 million doing research on how they could address and talk to young men. Why would you need to pay somebody $20 million to learn how to talk to young men? Well, because you don't know a damn thing about them, because you don't care. You haven't put any time in. You're focused over here on these weird lefty liberal women, strange issues. Trump's out there, driving a dump truck, garbage truck or whatever. It's that the Democrat Party is cooked. They're not using these dumb words by accident. They're obsessed with these dumb words, like clinically. They fetishize these words. They don't use language to communicate. They worship it. To them, it's not crime, it's justice involved behavior. It's not poor, it's food insecurity. These are the kinds of terms that he's telling them not to use. It's not mother, it's birthing person. It's not illegal immigrant, it's irregular border crossing with dreams. Because in their ideology, words are power, not truth, not results, not evidence, just words. If they own the vocabulary, then they own the debate. They don't have to actually have the debate about the issue if they can control your voice and control your words and demand what you use. Then you don't have to talk about the underlying issue. If they own the words, they own the culture. If you disagree with them, you're othering. If you say the wrong thing, it's violence. If you refuse to play, that's privilege. This is how they shut down conversation. They try to control everybody. They can't beat you with the arguments and with the ideas and with the logic, with the reason, with the results. So they weaponize words. They genuinely believe that if they can control the words, they can control the truth and make it whatever they want it to be. Controlling the narrative became control the pronouns. Go ahead, go ask them what a woman is. Go ahead. Watch them glitch, because they can't. Whatever a woman feels like she is. They have no idea. They think they can just redefine the terms and then somehow men are women. Men can be women and men can have babies. They mutter something about gender being a spectrum and then call you an extremist for suggesting biology might have a role in defining literally half of the human species. And here's the thing, they don't even know what they're saying. Most couldn't define epistemic injustice. They just mimic whatever they've heard on a podcast or from their professors. It's not about fixing poverty, for example. It's more concerned about calling people the unhoused and fighting about that. It's not about feeding the hungry. It's about recognizing their food insecurity journey. They don't use words to help. They use words to flex. It's class cosplay for laptop liberals who think condescension is compassion. And then you got every Democrat in their fucking HR file has to put she, they, he, z, pan-romantic, asexual, ecosystem, base, gender fluid advocate. All this weird nonsense. You need a decoder ring to even know what the hell they're talking about. I mean, you can't even run for dog catcher in Portland without filling out a gender identity bracket and hosting a seminar on decentering colonial pet ownership. Meanwhile, normal voters are here like, I just want groceries under $10, for these items that used to be cheaper. And I want my kids not to get stabbed on the train. But no. The Democrats are too busy mourning the linguistic erasure of non-binary mushroom folk. And every time that this blows up in their face, do they stop? Do they reflect? Do they come to some kind of change? Absolutely not. What do? They blame the voters for being bigots, for being out of touch, for being idiots, for being dumb. Oh, America, it's just not ready for our progressive language revolution. No, dumbass. America heard you, and America hates it. You treat words like holy relics or pronouns like purity tests. You made activism into a fucking spelling bee. And now you're shocked when voters abandon you faster than CNN Plus. You didn't lose because people were too dumb to understand your message. You lost because they understood it perfectly and they thought it was fucking stupid. You replace semantics. You replace solutions with semantics. You swapped reform for rhetoric. And you were out here rewriting the dictionary while the middle class caught on fire. So congrats, Democrats. The only thing you're centering now is your own obituary. And the GOP didn't even have to beat you. You did it yourself, one syllable at a time. All right, so let's take a look at some of the comments. Hopefully I can get to some of them. Let's see, what do we got here? Maybe colleges ought to be more affordable and education should be a right of all Americans, and Republicans ought to be more in favor of education. Of course, we know why they aren't. How are Republicans not in favor of education? I think that they don't have a problem with it. They have a problem with it not being education and it being indoctrination and propaganda from the left. And then everybody in the state is paying for that university, conservative and liberal both, but yet the liberals are the ones who get to push their propaganda on the taxpayers' dime of the conservative. It's not that hard to understand. And what is this supposed to mean? I think it's conservatives that are the ones afraid of using these terms. No one's afraid of using the terms. They're just stupid terms that are not helpful and not clear and unnecessary and that distract from the actual issues. So forget about this obsession with terms and controlling the language. And maybe, just maybe, people won't think you're complete idiots. So, all right, guys. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. Hopefully tomorrow will be better. So No further questions, no more comments. All right, that's it. I'm done. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share my videos with other people so we can grow the channel. And that helps with the algorithm, and it helps me get more views so that I can grow this channel. I can invest in more expensive equipment and things like that. So every little bit helps. I appreciate it. Have a great day.